Hi everyone. So I'm here again with everyone on stories worth sharing. So first off, we would like to share with everyone about what anemia is. And this is a really important topic. So I want to thank the PD for coming up with this topic so that to bring awareness to everyone. And this problem is something that many would encounter, but oftentimes we wouldn't even know that we are diagnosed with this hidden disease, because actually the symptoms of anemia emerge gradually and they're usually not obvious. So actually anemia, if we want to get really in depth with it, 3 days, we wouldn't even be able to finish this topic in 3 days or 3 nights. But to let everyone have a better understanding, I'm just going to share more detail, less detail, just get straight to the point so that everyone can better understand about this topic. So the WHO estimated that up to 1/3 of the world's population are diagnosed with different types of anemia. And most of them are children or women who are having their menstruation. So actually, this disease, as long as there are humans, this sickness are bound to occur. And most of them are usually children or women who are having their menstruation. They get this anemia more easily as compared to others. And according to the WHO's newest data, anemia is actually most commonly found in Asia. So later on, we will talk into more about how anemia, what leads to anemia and what are the symptoms. So this anemia is really similar to chronic diseases. When our red blood cells, the amount of our red blood cells are imbalanced, it is really difficult for the symptoms to emerge. It's not obvious. And you can't really tell whether if you have anemia or not just by appearance. But then if this anemia, if it becomes really fatal, it becomes really severe, it could be fatal if left untreated. Perhaps our skin would turn yellowish, dark and yellowish, as how shown in the picture. And if we want to prevent ourselves from getting anemia, besides doing body checkups, we should also consume health supplements so that we can decrease the risk and prevent from getting anemia. And I would also share about how we can consume ELKEN spirulina to help prevent anemia. And if you have anemia, it is very similar to other chronic diseases. And this is because when you have anemia, it's because there is something wrong with your body system, perhaps. So if you have anemia, you should not just leave it be and think oh, it's no big deal, as it could be fatal if left untreated. So humans' red blood cells have a lifespan of 120 days. And during this period, the old red blood cells would constantly be replaced by new ones. So anemia is caused by a lack of hemoglobin or red blood cells, which also known as red blood cells in the body. So the old red blood cells, right, they would be broken down and the new ones will be produced from the bone marrow. But then if there happens to be some free radicals that disrupts this problem, it would affect its supply and demand. So like there would be like an imbalance in supply and demand. And when that happens, anemia would most likely occur. So anemia is caused by a lack of hemoglobin or red blood cells in our body. So actually hemoglobin is an iron-rich protein found in red blood cells, and it transports oxygen to our tissues. So this is actually a severe issue because if we don't have enough red blood cells, it wouldn't be able to function properly by transporting the nutrients or oxygen that our body needs. Actually, red blood cells have a really important protein, which is hemoglobin, and it is rich in iron. So if we lack that, we would be unable to transport oxygen to our tissues. So this is actually really severe. And how should we know whether we have anemia? So if you want to know whether we have anemia, besides taking a blood test, we can also tell by our appearance. But actually, if we have to tell if we have anemia through appearance, by that time, if it shows up through our skin or appearance, that means that our anemia is already very severe. So the symptoms of anemia depends on the severity, the total hemoglobin's decreasing rate and reason, as well as body's adaptation to the low levels of hemoglobin. So, and this is actually similar to some circulatory diseases. And the symptoms could differ, like the symptoms might be more obvious, some might not. So that's what, and everyone's anemia, like the level is different, so we can't really compare. But as long as you take care of your diet, take care of your lifestyle, have a good lifestyle, having anemia, you might quickly recover if you have anemia through like the right supplements, having the right nutrition, and that is if you are healthy. And by having like good diet, a healthy lifestyle. And before we get to how we can improve anemia, let's look at the symptoms. If you have anemia, you might get really tired. You have fatigueness. And if you have imbalanced red blood cells, as mentioned earlier, we'll be unable to transport oxygen, right? So when that happens, you will get tired easily. So if you happen to know anyone with anemia, if you observe them, you'll see that they get tired easily. And another one is if you keep doing the same thing, and if you get really tired easily by just doing the same thing, it also means that you get tired. That also means that you might have anemia. And So if you get really tired easily, even if you have enough sleep, you should maybe do a checkup to see if you have anemia. And for those with anemia, you would see that their skin might be paler or like more yellowish to the side. Because our red blood cells, right? If we have enough red blood cells, our skin would be more reddish because blood is red, right? And that's what because hemoglobin makes blood appear red, while anemia patients, they have lower hemoglobin levels and thence they might look more paler or yellowish. So if you suddenly become really pale or yellowish, like your skin, you might need to watch out for that, as a lot of times it's because of not having enough red blood cells, or as you do not have enough oxygen for your tissues, for your body. Another one is lack of energy, as there is insufficient oxygen in the patient's body. And another one is shortness of breath after exercising, as there is insufficient oxygen supply in the patient's body. So what are the causes of anemia? Iron deficiency anemia, which is the first type, iron deficiency anemia, is the most common type of anemia. And those with this type of anemia, the symptoms are pale skin, easily wheezing, heart palpitations, dizziness, and tiredness. So what causes iron deficiency anemia? Well, the four main causes of iron deficiency anemia is insufficient iron intake. For example, if you have like a imbalanced diet, maybe you didn't really pay attention to whether you get enough nutrition, or you always eat fast food or like there's instant food because you want to quickly resolve your meals. That would cause you to have iron insufficiency. So besides insufficient iron intake, iron absorption disorder would also cause anemia. So what causes iron absorption disorder? Well, this would occur perhaps when we consume a lot of coffee that's high in caffeine, or too much tea. Perhaps like you drink 40 cups of tea a day or more than that, you might be getting too much caffeine. And with that, it would cause iron absorption disorder. Or some might be because they had done some surgery, which causes their absorption for iron to not be as good as other people. And another main causes for iron deficiency anemia is increase of iron demand. For example, for mothers or for growing children, for breastfeeding moms or growing children, due to increased iron requirements, they might have iron deficiency if they don't replenish on the iron properly. And in addition, those with excessive menstrual blood, cancer patients, or those who have undergone gastric surgery might also have this type of anemia. And for iron deficiency anemia, it is really common in Asia. So another one is pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia is also known as megaloblastic anemia, and pernicious anemia is its proper term. So for this, it doesn't indicate that it is a very severe anemia or that it can't be easily treated. So for this one, it is usually common among age groups below 40. So As stomach secretion decreases with age, the ability for gastrointestinal tract to absorb vitamin B12 becomes poor, which leads to the decrease of red blood cells levels. So with that, the absorption of vitamin B12 requires the secretion of an internal factor in the stomach. That is why people who are older, have gastric ulcers, and who have undergone gastrectomy often suffer from this type of anemia. And as mentioned earlier, this anemia is known as pernicious anemia, which is also known as megaloblastic anemia. And this is when you have vitamin B12 deficiency. In addition, vegans or those who drink excessively might also have pernicious anemia. And that is why, because for vitamin B12, right, it is usually intake is usually extracted from meat. So for those vegans who doesn't consume any animal products might have pernicious anemia due to insufficient vitamin B12. And there is also another type of anemia, which is also a quite severe type, which is hemorrhagic anemia. So hemorrhagic anemia can be differentiated into two types, acute and chronic. And those who lost a lot of blood due to injury or due to the large reduction of blood in the body. So for these, right, it would lead to acute hemorrhagic anemia. And on the other hand, continuous long-term or repeated bleeding caused by gastrointestinal bleeding, gastrointestinal ulcers, gastrointestinal cancers, excessive menstrual blood among women, and hemorrhoids bleeding. So for these, they would lead to chronic hemorrhagic anemia. As for these type of diseases, they are more like continuous or like long-term and repeated. And there's also really severe ones such as diabetes and etc. So all these would also cause repeated bleeding, and which would lead to chronic hemorrhagic anemia. So if you have, as mentioned earlier, if your diet is healthy, if you have a healthy lifestyle, if you have a good body physique, good body condition, through some supplements and some treatment, you would be able to heal from the anemia. But if you have a really unhealthy lifestyle, you have an imbalanced diet, and you just have really bad habits like drinking, etc., it might be hard for you to recover from anemia. And so how should we improve our red blood cells count? So blood itself is a highly nutritious substance, right? And therefore, we would need like a wide variety of nutrition to make blood. So in traditional Chinese medicine, if you have insufficient blood and your blood is unable to function properly, all your organs would be affected, greatly affected. So in order for our red blood cells to function properly in the bone marrow, we should improve our red blood cells count. So how do we do that? We can replenish on iron, folate, and vitamin B12. So these are the three main ones. Besides these three main ones, there are also two other important ones, which are copper and vitamin C. And so many of you might think that, oh, those with anemia can just eat food that can replenish our blood. But actually, that's not the case. Because if you want to ease anemia, not only do you need to eat food that can replenish blood, there are also some other nutrients that you should specifically replenish on as well, as shown earlier. So, as mentioned earlier, these are the few nutrients we need to improve our red blood cells count. And the first one is eat more iron-rich foods. Iron deficiency anemia is a really common clinical anemia. And whether if it's intestinal bleeding, repeated upper gastrointestinal bleeding, or hemorrhoids that have been bleeding for many years, middle-aged people and elderlies who would have long-term iron loss and hence causing iron deficiency anemia. Therefore, they should eat more iron-rich foods, which can help to boost the production of hemoglobin. So you can eat products such as, foods such as egg yolk, lean meat, beans that are rich in iron. So celery, spinach, taro, bean sprouts, and other veggies also contains more iron. So if we have an imbalanced diet, we would have iron deficiency. And that is why it's really important to have a balanced diet so that you will be getting the iron that your body needs. Besides iron, we also need folate and vitamin B12. We need to have sufficient supply of them. So both of them are indispensable due to the development of red blood cells. Like our red blood cells need them to develop. And therefore, you should eat more foods that contains vitamin B12 and folate. Well, for example, animal protein, such as lean meat, is rich in vitamin B12. As for folate, it is most commonly found in green leafy veggies. So you should always eat more animal protein and green leafy veggies. So it is really important to eat more veggies and obtain more protein. So for those who doesn't like to eat veggies, they might have a higher potential of not getting enough folate. So with that, consuming protein and green leafy veggies can provide the vitamin B12 and folate that your body needs. And in addition, clinical studies also found that those with iron deficiency often have copper deficiency as well. So copper is also made up of components that are related to hematopoietic enzymes. And when there is, so earlier we mentioned that besides these iron, folate, and vitamin B12, there are also studies have also found that there are two other nutrients that we need to help improve our red blood cells count, which are copper and vitamin C. So copper is made out of components that are related to the hematopoietic enzymes. And when there's copper deficiency, ceruloplasmin will be reduced and hemoglobin synthesis is blocked. So this would lead to a reduction of iron's absorption and utilization, thereby aggravating anemia. And this is why we should appropriately increase the intake of copper when supplementing iron so that it can promote iron's absorption and utilization, as well as the maturation and release of the red blood cells. As mentioned earlier, copper assists the red blood cells to access the iron it needs. So this is why we need copper to help with the maturation and release of red blood cells. As we all know, red blood cells are produced from our bone marrow. So with the help of copper, red blood cells, it is produced in bone marrow, but without copper, it's unable to be released to mature and release into our veins. That is why we need the help of copper to do that. And another thing to pay attention to is that consuming food high in sugar would also lead to the risk of getting copper deficiency. And this is because a certain amount of copper is consumed during sugar metabolism. Especially for children that are diagnosed with anemia, parents should limit their diet and stop them from eating foods such as candies or biscuits that are high in sugar, so that we can prevent from getting copper deficiency. So another one is vitamin C, which can help with absorption of iron. And oranges and other foods that are rich in vitamin C should be consumed in appropriate amounts. But vitamin C's aren't that stable and can easily be oxidized. So these 5 nutrients are nutrients that can be found in food, but sometimes we are unable to consume all these nutrients simply just by consuming food. And that is when health supplements comes in handy. And while cultivating a healthy diet, we can use some health supplements to help with the absorption and function. So ELKEN spirulina contains the major nutrients that our body needs, which includes the nutrients needed to maintain healthy hemoglobin. So what is inside ELKEN spirulina? Well, among the many nutrients, the one that hemoglobin needs, which are iron, folate, vitamin B12, copper, and vitamin C, all these important nutrients can be found in ELKEN spirulina, as it provides a complete and balanced nutrition for our human body. So perhaps if you don't really have time to prepare healthy meals, a balanced nutrition, a meal full of nutrition every single day, what you can do is consume ELKEN spirulina so that your body can get the complete and balanced nutrition they need. Because if we don't pay attention in consuming the nutrients we need, it would affect our red blood cells count and hence affecting our health in general. So among the many nutrients, the ones that hemoglobin needs. So for instance, 30 tablets of ELKEN spirulina contains iron that are 56 times higher than spinach. So as you can see, ELKEN spirulina is really nutritious. And the benefits of consuming ELKEN spirulina as compared to consuming other normal foods, some which are that the nutrients found in ELKEN spirulina are richer and more well-balanced, and the nutrients found in ELKEN spirulina can easily be absorbed by our body. And besides that, it does not contain any toxins, chemical components, or additives found in normal foods. So from the picture, we can see that 30 tablets of ELKEN spirulina contains iron that are 56 times higher than spinach. So if you think about it, we're unable to consume so much spinach in a day, right? But with just 30 tablets of ELKEN spirulina, we will be able to get the iron, the amount of iron equivalent to 56 spinach. And besides that, 30 tablets of ELKEN spirulina also contains vitamin B12 that are 2.5 times higher than cow liver. So from this, we can see that ELKEN spirulina is truly nutritious. So 2.5 servings of cow liver might not seem that much, but perhaps due to the time constraints or like financial constraints, time constraints, you might be unable to consume 2.5 servings of cow liver every single day, right? Or perhaps you might be a vegetarian, that's why you're unable to consume that. But with just 30 tablets of ELKEN spirulina, you can obtain the amount of vitamin B12 that is equivalent to 2.5 servings of cow liver. And that is why besides just consuming foods, health supplements is also really important in helping us to obtain the nutrients that our body needs every single day. So in comparison, not only can ELKEN spirulina can help you get the nutrition you need, it's also more time saving. So besides that, ELKEN spirulina also contains other nutritional components that are richer than many other foods. And besides that, it is also much more biological effective. So as you can see from the picture, 30 tablets of ELKEN spirulina is equivalent to 550 apples, the beta carotene found in 550 apples, the B2 found in 420 grapes, the vitamin E found in 31 bowls of rice, and B1, vitamin B1, vitamin B3, and vitamin B12. So ELKEN spirulina is truly a health supplement that you cannot miss out. And besides that, ELKEN spirulina have 5 main features. And here are some main features that allows you to consume ELKEN spirulina with ease, as it is known as the most trusted brand. So the first one is it was ranked #1 for 10 years consecutively. And it is also organic certified. So why should we consume ELKEN spirulina as compared to, and not other brands? Because other brands might contain some other components that you might not know of, but ELKEN spirulina is certified and has gotten numerous accolades and is supported by 12 clinical studies and has been endorsed by scientists from the GHNFA and IMSAM. So from all these, we can know that ELKEN spirulina is a trusted brand that we can safely consume. So ELKEN spirulina can bring truly many benefits and help with our red blood cell counts. So ELKEN spirulina are available in both tablets and powder form. It is suitable for all ages and genders. And ELKEN spirulina is truly convenient because perhaps if you buy spinach or you buy cow liver, kids might not like it, might not like to eat the green leafy veggies. And seniors, elderlies might have problems chewing the cow liver. But with ELKEN spirulina that are available in both tablets and powder form, all ages can consume ELKEN spirulina conveniently, as you can also mix it with, you can also cook it or mix it with beverages or like oatmeal, yogurt, your smoothies, or acai bowls. So whether if you are an adult, an infant, children, elderlies, etc., ELKEN spirulina can be easily absorbed by all ages, and you truly have no excuse not to consume ELKEN spirulina, as it can help you resolve all the nutrition requirements that you need daily, and it is also can be easily consumed. In short, if we want to have a healthier body and to not get anemia, we should consume ELKEN spirulina, as it is the most trusted brand and is the best supplement that can help provide complete and balanced nutrition for your body, as all the nutrients that your body needs can be found in ELKEN spirulina, and with that, you will be able to live healthily without anemia. So start consuming ELKEN spirulina today if you haven't already. And if you want to prevent not just anemia, like if you want to prevent from getting any diseases, you should start taking care of yourself now and not wait until you get the disease, only you start trying to recover from it. So ELKEN spirulina is truly helpful in preventing anemia. And with that, we will be able to live happily and healthily. That's it for my sharing. Thank you.